and I wanted to pass the information over. I think what's going on in, I don't know, in the world today is like there's lots of information out there. There's lots of people succeeding in things, and then if that thing fails or dies, or if for example, I don't know, somebody's really successful and they just get carried away with it, and it just rolls on and rolls on and rolls on, and they leave a lot of people behind. Now, we ran a course for the NHS and it was successful. So what I want to do now is pass that information over. I mean, I can't pass it all over today. Obviously, it's years and years of experience. But what I want to do is I want to give what I've got. I want to give what I've got in a snippet. And then if you want more, the book's free. Get the book, download the book, and just, yeah, ask questions, and I'm happy to answer. So this is what it's about. I developed a course back in 2012, and I ran it for a year, and it won an award. They call it the NHS Award of Excellence, and it won the award because we supported 4 or 5 people to get back into, who were living with early stage psychosis, to get back into education and employment. One person actually became a climbing instructor, which is amazing. Like, it's absolutely fantastic. So what I want to cover today is I wanted to cover like the core values of how I did that, what I did, the process that I used to put all this together. I'm going to fire through it pretty quick, and if you've got any more questions or you want to chat about it, then I'm happy to give you a call. I'm happy to help. So the first thing is the skills. So the first thing of the core values would be the skills that you've got. And I'm a climbing instructor, or I do a bit of guiding in the mountains as well. And I think having those skills, like, people go, "Oh, you're a climbing instructor, like, it's rock climbing. There's, it's a really complex thing." It's actually not. It's about, it's about being safe, which can be the complex thing, and the building of the equipment, which is the complex thing. But the actual climbing instruction, the actual coaching, isn't that complex. So, or the actual activity itself isn't that complex. It's just a set of systems. It's a set of routines and disciplines that you've got to stick to. And if you stick to those set routines and that discipline, then you're fine. So the point is that we all have something that we do that's got a discipline or a routine. For example, drawing or writing. If you like drawing or you like to write, then there's some disciplines in that. You've got to pick up a pen or a pencil. You have to put the ink to the paper, and you have to, if you want to write, you have to write certain words. If you want to draw a picture of a face, there's certain disciplines you need to do to draw that face. So we all have something. And although rock climbing might seem really kind of like, oh, it's rock climbing, do you know what I mean? Actually, the disciplines of tying a knot, or the discipline of the routine of setting up the belay device, the thing that you use to control the rope, or putting on the harness, or the communications that we use between each other, those disciplines, those routines are no different from the discipline and routine of setting up an easel, getting a canvas, getting your paints out, getting the right consistency, the right colour, and then putting it onto the canvas. The same sort of thing. It's the same process. It's just with a different foundation, through a different activity. So the point that I'm making is we all have something to start from. We all have a foundation to start from, and something to build off. It doesn't have to be climbing. It doesn't have to be meditation. It doesn't have to be yoga. It doesn't have to be something specialized. It can be anything. And if you've got some skills, if you've got something, you've got a starting block, and that's all it's about. You don't need anything special. You just need to be a person who understands routines and the systems of the way of life, of the activities that we do. So the next stage then is, I've got this climbing thing, I've got this activity. How do I help people with it? How do I assist people to reach their own success? And yeah, you can coach people and teach them how to climb. That's fantastic. That's what it's about, being an instructor or a coach. But I wanted to go a bit deeper with it, and I wanted to show that actually using these routines, these foundations, this system that we've been given, we can actually help people get back to health. So somebody who's living with a psychological condition, whether it be psychosis, we were working with people that are living with early stage psychosis, or depression, or whatever it may be, we can help them, boost them, give them a kickstart back into it. But that requires a plan. And so to create a plan, it's what I do is what I think everybody should do is I look at my end goal. So I say, with the NHS course, my end goal was, I'm going to take these people from hospital and I'm going to turn them into a climbing instructor, or get somebody back into education and employment. That, in reality, at the time when I was with the people that were coming on the course, the reality of that was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, especially, train somebody from scratch to a trained climbing instructor or a fully qualified climbing instructor when they're coming from hospital is like, it's a big ask kind of thing. But that was my end goal. It wasn't my goal that I wanted tomorrow. It was my very end goal. So what I did is I created a plan. I knew I had these disciplines, these routines, these systems in place that I could teach, and I could create a relationship through teaching those things. So I knew I could do that. Now, my end goal was to get them to a point where they were going back into education and employment. So then I created a plan which took me from that end goal back to where I was. So I sort of planned backwards, and then I realized it was realistic. I could actually do it, and I could do it I made it realistic. So I made my timeframes realistic. I said, if in 2 weeks they can have learned the knot, this means we'll have ticked off. We'll have built a rapport with each other. We will have learned how to communicate with each other. We'll be tying each other on and learning the safety skills of climbing, which is a massive step forward. When you're at the top of the wall and you're asking somebody to sit back, you're asking them to put their whole life in your hands. When you're asking somebody to write something or to draw something, I'm using writing and drawing as an example because I do that as well. But if you ask somebody to write something, you're asking them to put their trust in you. If you're going to read it after they've written it, and you want them to write something creative, or you want them to draw something that expresses themselves, they're putting a lot of trust in you. And it's the same thing. They're putting their trust in you, just on a more intense level with climbing. So you make it realistic. So I was saying, like, in 2 weeks, I will have them tying the knot and setting up the belay, which will mean that they're communicating on this level, and so on and so forth. Make it attractive and achievable. So I was writing it out and then saying, how can I make this attractive? How can I make it achievable? So, like, if it was drawing or writing, you say by week 4, you'll be able to write a poem, or you'll be able to draw a picture of a face and make it look as though it's coming out the page, make it look more 3D, make it look more realistic. In climbing terms, it was by week 4, you'll be able to put a harness on, tie on, and you'll be keeping each other safe. So I was creating this build up to my end goal, which was somebody's going to be qualified climbing instructor. So made it attractive, made it realistic, built up to my end goal. And then I decided that the most attractive way to make it work, to make the NHS go, yeah, let's fund this guy, that's amazing, is to try and make it sustainable. And the only way to make something sustainable is in a sort of, in a business term, in a monetary sense, is to take yourself out of the picture. Because if you're at the top and you're taking like a wage and you're taking all the money all the time, then at some point it's got to give. If you want that to be sustainable, if you want it to work, at some point the money that's going up to you, it has to be shared out. It has to be given out. You can't just keep taking. So I created a system where I would teach the people that were coming onto the course. I would establish who was dedicated to learning the skills and the disciplines and the routines that I was teaching, and who was actually engaging with the plan the most. I picked those individuals out, and then I really worked with them. And the idea was I would bring them up to a stage where they were at my level, and they were climbing instructor level, and then I would then be able to step out. I would be able to take a step to the side, and they would be able to get the funding. They would be able to carry on the course. So in traditional business terms, whatever it be, a charity, whatever, doesn't matter, I was making myself redundant. I set myself up into a system that eventually I would lose out financially and would have to leave. And it worked. Within a year, one of the guys became a fully trained climbing instructor. Within 2 years, a fully qualified climbing instructor. Within 3 years, taking all my work off me. So, it really, really worked. But if you want to keep your income sustainable, if I wanted to keep my income sustainable in a traditional sense, that's it. It doesn't work. You can't do it like that. So I created this system where you start at the bottom and then you can reach the top. And then I left, obviously. There was no more funding after 2015. All the funding stopped, and I had to move on. And it's still going today. The course is still running today. The guys are still running it. And they're doing it on a voluntary basis, but it's still going. So that to me says it's fantastic. What's happened then, though, is I've had some real words with myself, and I decided I wanted to carry this on. I wanted more people to be aware of these systems and these disciplines, and that everybody's got routine, everybody's got things in place that they can use to bring themselves up and teach other people and bring them up. So I went out and I've been looking, I've been sharing my content. We've written a book and we're giving it away for free. I've been doing that. If you haven't seen the link, you need to check out the link. It's on this page somewhere. So just go and click the link and download the book. It's a PDF file that I've put on, and it's free. So read it. It's great. If anything, it'll help you with your health a little bit. If you're really healthy, then it's something to read, isn't it? It's an insight into what I think like and what my partner thinks like, because we both worked on it together. But I'd left the course and I'm sharing the content and I'm looking for something else. And luckily for me and my partner, we've found a business model that that you can start at the bottom and work your way to the top, and there's an unlimited amount of earnings in it. So the top people are pulling you up to the top. So when I created that course, I was just like, I think, onto something without realizing I was onto something. And then I later on, when the funding had stopped, realized that actually this is a beautiful business model, and then went out and found a business that I can work in that works like that, which I'm happy to share with other people. If you want to know more about that business structure and how it works, then get in contact, because I think it's the future. I think it's fantastic. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, so we've gone through skills, like the skills that you need, the base skills that we've all got. We've all got some systems, we've all got routine, we've all got disciplines that we use. So it's about just acknowledging that you've got that, whether it be drawing or speaking or writing or climbing or rugby or growing things, plants, or sewing or knitting. It doesn't matter. We've all got things that we do that require a certain routine, certain systems and certain disciplines. And once you realize that we've got that, you've got that, you can then start teaching other people to do it through creating a plan. And with that plan, as long as you've got an end goal, you can really start to support people and help them. And in the new sort of way of business, you can actually help people to earn a lot of money. You can help people to be healthy. You can help people to create the time freedom that they want. So it is there. It's possible to do, and using your skills, the things that you're good at, to do it. The last thing I want to say, the last sort of core value, is communication. And this is a big one. So I'm talking to you. Hang on, water. After a day out in the garden with the little girl, and like having a couple of really, really full-on nights of graft, and yeah, and I'm quite relaxed. I've got my coat on because it's quite cold in here, and I'm putting myself across as best and as relaxed as I can. And I think this is the point, that when you're creating a course of content, or you're creating a support network, a community, a movement, whatever you want to call it, when you're creating something for people to join in and propel themselves forward, communication's a massive thing. And it comes back to having those little routines and those little systems in place. So, for example, through teaching how to tie the figure of 8 knot, what I was able to do is communicate with individuals and use certain language, positive motivational language, calming language. I was able to do that. I was able to, when I'm stood in front of them, not be tense and do it like this. I was able to just relax and be like, and when they were, I'm struggling. I could be like, yeah, like I struggled. It took me 2 weeks to learn this. And, so the whole approach, my whole approach to these people learning these set routines, these disciplines, was relaxed. And that allowed them to build a sense of trust towards me. And then over the weeks, I could then start pushing that into new realms, if you like, into new arenas, where the trust went from, well, he's teaching me how to tie a knot, to he's telling me to jump off the wall and fall a little bit. And you can put that to any, like I was saying before, any activity. He's going from telling me to write words that rhyme to actually write about myself with a word that rhymes, or he's going from teaching me how to draw a face, to actually drawing somebody else's face. And like, you want to get that right sort of thing. So you go through communication, you grow with the individual that you're training, that you're coaching. So when you're communicating with people through these activities that you're doing, through this plan that you're working towards to achieve your goal, I think, like, you've got to give it your all. And if all you have is like quite a flawed perception of other people or yourself, then how do you come across to other people? Do you know what I mean? How do you keep them motivated, keep them positive? How do you teach those base skills and keep them interesting? Because you want to reach the end goal of your plan, which is helping somebody be massively successful. How do you do that if everything you have is, it's already flawed? So the key to that is self-development, and like listening to motivational people, listening to positive messages and reading positive messages, writing positive messages down or drawing them, however you get it out, and just surrounding yourself with people that that give you that positivity. And like, you got to be realistic. Do you know what I mean? You've got to have friends that you can have a bit of a bitch and a moan to, because we're humans after all. But at the end of the day, having that drive and that positivity is the main thing, and pushing forward. So it's about learning that. It's about listening to those messages and learning how to relay them to other people with your own personality. And one thing that I practice, one thing that I like to do as I'm talking is, or as I'm teaching and coaching, is I'm constantly thinking about compassion, success, and strength in my mind. So like, if I talk to this person, and I believe that I'm compassionate, then if I believe that, then they'll get that from me. If I this crazy woman just came in the room to get baby wipes and nappies. Her hair's like this. So where was I? If I am talking to someone with compassion, and I feel that compassion, genuinely feel it, they will be filled with that. They'll understand it. They'll be like, oh, this guy's like, he's compassionate. They're not going to go, well, you're compassionate, like that. They're just going to they'll get a sense of that. If you're thinking compassionately, and you're mixing success in with that, so you're going like, I'm really compassionate. Yes, I really want you to be well. I really want you to succeed. I want that for you. If you're thinking success and compassion at the same time, then that is like just a really strong message to send to someone. So if you put those three things together and you tell yourself you are those things, and you practice telling yourself that, and you listen to motivational messages and positive messages, and you practice it, then the communication of teaching somebody to tie a knot all of a sudden becomes like a really powerful message to put across. So yeah, give it your all and learn about those who you can work with. It's not about, going out and trying to educate everybody. Learn about those people that you do want to work with and that you can work with, and go from there. So I'm going to wrap it up there. It's 20 minutes or so I think that'll do it. I don't want to be waffling on too much, but the things that we've covered are, the skills. We've all got skills. We've all got base skills, systems that we do every day, whether it be cooking, drawing, writing, growing things, climbing, running, whatever it might be. We've all got these things. We all have a tool to use with a system and a routine and disciplines within it. And once you've got that, you can then say, right, I'm going to use this thing and I'm going to create a plan to support people, to get them to their end goal, to get them to their success. And if you can do that and you can find that end success, then what you can do is create a realistic plan to get them there, to get yourself there, to get there as a team, as a community. And as long as you make it realistic, as long as you make it attractive, you know you're gonna get there. And like I said, I've found a way to do that and earn money, support people, and I just think it's amazing. Like I said before, I think I was putting out something to the universe when I created the NHS course. Unfortunately, with that one, I made myself redundant. But it's like that for me was an ideal structure, and then now I'm a part of what I think is an ideal structure, and I think like spreading it and telling people about the business model and telling them about the opportunity is the way forward. And even if people want to do it off their own backs and not be a part of a business and not be a part of something where it's bottom up, what you can do is you can create your own way of doing it and be self sufficient. And the last thing was communication. So having compassion, mixing that with success and strength, and just projecting that out to people and give it your all. There's plenty of self development and just keep giving it your all. I get in my car and I've got headphones on and I've got like Les Brown or Jim Rohn or Tony Robbins like talking away to me the whole time. That's what I do in the car. So like, get it done. Possibilities are endless. And on that note, if you got any questions, message me. If you want to know more about the business model that we're working in, or you want to know more about the development of the NHS course, or you want to know more about the skill systems that I was talking about, and the routines and the discipline, or the planning phase of it, or the communication phase of it, I am more than happy to help. So please get in touch. If you haven't downloaded the book yet, please do it. Please download the book. I'm giving it away for free. It's only like $3. It's like what, £2 on Amazon, but I'm giving it away for free. So I'm like, take it. You read it, have the material. Like, I'm giving you this as well, so please take it and use it. Anyway, I am going to sign off now, and I hope you found some value from this. Peace and love. Oh shit.